Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for another episode of The Ghost Furnace. I am Bond, and I'm here as always with my cohort, Nick, Pennsylvania. How you doing, buddy?
Good evening from very hot. I'm actually in the cottage, and in my backyard, I have an old garage that was built around
Mm-hmm.
1914, 1915. So it is a little two-story cottage. I don't. This is the first time I've ever recorded for Ghost Furnace out here. I've
Mm-hmm.
usually done some music recordings out in the cottage, but
It
it's
sounds nice.
nice.
Yeah.
It's nice, but it is
Yeah.
very hot. It is. I think it's 95 according to my weather station
Mm-hmm.
outside.
Yep.
It's probably at least that in here. I have a fan going, so if you hear any
Yeah, I
oscillations,
have
that's
fans.
it.
I have fans going too. Yeah.
Mighty
So
hot out.
yeah. So I hope everyone will forgive us. If any of you out there are listening, you're probably still, if you're on the East Coast, dealing with our first real heat wave of the summer. I hope you're all staying cool and safe out there. So, what we're hoping to do tonight is chill your hot heart with some spooky stories, or are we trying to chill people's hot hearts, or are we trying to warm
Mm.
people's cold hearts?
No, right now, no, right now the bottom line is very hot. Hopefully, we have some spine-chilling stories
There we
that'll,
go.
and by spine-chilling stories, I don't actually think we have much in the way of any spine-chilling anything today, but
Nothing to that
um,
extent.
yeah, so
Yeah.
we kind of took last week. It's been a busy month, and
Mm-hmm.
but I got to meet Dana,
Mm-hmm.
Black Cat Tarot, did
Yes.
that. And then I promptly went away for an entire week. I was up in the Poconos and
Mm-hmm.
was able to share that experience, had some conversations with some good friends out there
Oh,
about that
nice.
whole thing. It was really nice. I have a friend who is looking, I think she has booked with Dana as a direct result of
Oh,
listening and
nice.
us
Fantastic.
conversing about it. So I'm really curious to hear back from her.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
what?
yeah.
Yeah, it was. I will say, it was a nice. Dano's super chill. I really
Mm-hmm.
like her. It was nice
Yeah.
to finally meet her in person,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that more than anything else was the really positive thing about the experience. Having like meeting somebody that you enjoy being around and then bouncing kind of some thoughts and ideas off them. I still maintain everything I kind of went into the
Mm-hmm.
reading believing, but I will admit there were like the blank card,
Flying
the
car's
two
pretty
of
weird.
you in particular were
Yeah.
really taken with, and
Yeah.
that was interesting. What people don't know though
Mm-hmm.
is this: we were wrapping up. We were starting to get a bunch of tornado warnings.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I forgot about this. Yeah.
And so you and I were like, tornado warnings. Dan is like, I'm gonna get home. We're like, well, we better get to the bar.
Yeah.
So so you and I had a very nice
Yeah.
dinner together. We were
Yes.
able to meet with our friend Ryan briefly,
Yeah.
who works at the
Mm-hmm.
establishment, and we waited out the storm. There was a really strong wall of storms that came through, and
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was three tornadoes did touch down.
Mm-hmm.
The
North.
closest
Yeah.
one to us was about, yeah, 12 miles immediately north of
Mm-hmm.
us
Yeah.
over at the lake, which we had
Mm-hmm.
been out the week before.
Well, yeah, it's not too far from my house
That's
where
right.
that came
It's a
through. I mean,
fact.
it's not real close, but close enough, you know.
It's in between where we had dinner while waiting out the
Yes.
storms
Yeah.
and your house. It's
Yeah.
almost like dead center of
Yeah.
that.
So, yeah, it was
The
no,
one
yeah,
tornado
yeah,
of,
at
I
least the
believe,
one.
three.
Yeah, I forgot about that. There's been a lot of tornadoes this year already, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, no, that was like an interesting way to like. There was definitely a lot of energy that day, you know. Like,
Sure
and
enough,
it
it
is
was
funny.
atmospheric.
It is, and like it is funny how that like I don't know that lines up sometimes. But yeah, no, I thought the reading was I thought Dana is again can't sing her praises highly enough as far as just her as a person, but also her as a tarot reader. Um, but the blank if anyone out there hasn't listened to that episode yet, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. The blank card, given what the question was, I've talked to a lot of my other friends since then who do tarot,
Yeah, I'm
and
really curious as to their thoughts. You know what?
yeah.
Funny enough, before you get into
Hmm.
that, our friend Heidi, who
Hmm.
I mentioned during the conversation,
Right.
because you and Heidi are the only people I knew that
Who
were
do tarot
really into
regularly.
tarot in
Yeah.
any way. She had reached out to me, and I had failed to
Hmm.
tell her about what maybe no, maybe I did tell her then, but
Hmm.
I had failed to tell her beforehand about the
Okay.
experience.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to talk to her. I'm hoping that she listens because
Yeah.
obviously I would like her feedback. But what are some things that you heard from your
Well,
friends?
so I do have a message offline to give you from Taryn, but as far as like feedback from folks, like I talked to three different people who are tarot readers who all were just like, "What do you mean it was a blank card?" I'm like, "It was a blank." It was. I'm like, I reiterated what Dana said, where it was like, yeah, like every deck comes with one blank one for you, like make your own card, which is just a cool idea, for
Yeah,
the artists, out there. But that's such like a symbolic thing that if you would have pulled that with any other like question, it I don't know, it wouldn't have had the same resonance as it did. That was really really interesting and really kind of freaky. And I know what you mean about how you said like you kind of maintain your belief going in and coming out that like tarot is mainly a reflective tool and
yeah.
everything, which I again I do agree with. But I mean, for those of us that do think there is a spookier side to tarot, when things like that happen, it's just like, that's that's
I
you
agree.
know,
If you
yeah.
went in there with that mindset, I don't think that there was anything that happened during that conversation that
Hmm.
would dissuade you
One
otherwise.
way or the other, yeah, one way or
Right.
otherwise,
And
yeah,
obviously I wasn't
yeah.
going in there to try to, dismiss
Prove
anything.
or disprove, exactly. One
Right.
way or the
That
other.
wasn't my
And
attitude.
yeah, and one of the things I will say too, just not to toot your own horn too much, but like I like a lot of folks who listen that are tarot readers specifically said they were impressed with your like candor going into it. Like you went in pretty open, and you were
Yeah,
like a good and I think that like not that like I expected any different from you, but I think a lot of people just expect people to be defensive about it, you
sure.
know. So the fact that you didn't like just like I think people were happy with that. That was just
Well,
a
I
good
think
representation of a first time reader or person getting a reading done for them. Excuse me.
I appreciate people feeling that way, and I know I'm pretty opinionated about things, but at the end of the day, like I'm really not like always describe myself, I'm inherently an angry person. Like
Hmm.
that's what motivates me most of the
Right.
time,
Right.
but I'm not a mean person.
Right.
And so even if like
Yeah.
so again, not to keep saying the same thing over and over again, do I believe there's a supernatural element to it all? No. But I'm not like I don't know enough about the nature of
Of
reality to
reality.
just be
Yeah. There's
like,
always room.
there's
Yeah.
no possibility whatsoever. I find it highly unlikely,
Hmm.
but what I really appreciate about it is it's obviously self-reflection is very important.
It is.
To
Yeah.
have friends, to have somebody else
Hmm.
who's by the fact that they're doing this kind of open-minded to kind of
Right.
speak to
Hmm.
as you reflect, I think there's a real importance to that. And I will go on further to say that I think the experience that one could have with tarot,
Hmm.
it's going to be weighed entirely upon the character pulling the cards.
Yeah, no, I think that's a huge component, and I think that, like you mentioned about the conversation, that was something I think that will be really good for folks to hear that have never been part of a tarot reading, like the conversation, the back and forth, about like how you interpret things, how
Yeah.
the puller interprets things, like that is a
And then
big
have a
part of
third
it.
person
Yeah,
yourself
which yeah,
who's kind of
which was
in between
interesting,
those.
right? Yeah.
And I say in between not only because, as you cited there, we've known each other since
Hmm.
I was 13 or
Right.
14.
Yeah.
And you're a year younger than me. Well,
Hmm.
you're 6 months younger than me, almost to the day.
Yeah. But
So we've known each other now the majority of our lives.
hmm.
And in that sense, you're
It's
you're on my
hard.
side of it, but on the
Yeah.
other side, you're very
Hmm.
much initiated into the whole tarot thing, and
Right.
so you
Right.
were kind of in between the two
Yeah. And
chairs there.
it was fun because I've never been part of that where uh you have like two readers looking at cards for someone else at like
Yeah,
the same time, because again folks who will listen to the episode, me and Dana do have some pretty divergent readings of some of the cards as they were pulled, and that's normal. It is a normal thing, and I think it's good for people to see that because again I think a lot of people think that tarot is like fortune telling, like it's predicting the
Right.
future. And it's like, like not really. Like
It's
it's not
some earnest
right,
believers that practice
right.
it
Hmm.
certainly do though. And I think
Right.
this is
That's
again
true.
where, is acupuncture, is it medicinal or is it like a spa treatment?
Yeah.
And it's my same thing I've said with yoga. Like yoga's great,
Hmm.
but there's a lot of people that attribute a really far-reaching spirituality to it.
Right.
There's a spirituality to it. Anything that lives is of a spirit of a
Spirituality to
kind.
anything if you do it with intention. Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah. Yep.
Just existence is a
Hmm.
spiritual sort of thing, and
Hmm.
that's about as far as I
Totally.
go with that. But
Yeah.
there are
Agree.
definitely some people that get really, really far out there.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, well, now you're losing. Like what we're doing is we are stretching, we
Hmm.
are breathing, we
Hmm.
are relaxing,
Yep.
we are stretching our body, staying limber, and we
Hmm.
in that way, in these movements, we preserve ourselves. We slow a
Right.
thing down. We
Hmm.
slow time down for ourselves. These are all great things. Why don't we
On their
focus on
on their
that?
own. Yeah. Yeah. On
Right.
their own. Yeah. And I think that like, I don't know. Yeah, I think yoga is an interesting example because like I do yoga almost every day, and there are some days where it is more on the meditative spiritual side of things. There's other days where I'm literally just working out my hip flexors,
Right.
like
Well, I'm going to
and
be
that's
seeing,
you
I did
know,
see, and I'll be seeing again
yeah.
soon, my friend Christina.
Hmm. Oh
And
yeah, yeah,
she has
I've met
spent
her.
year like
Yeah.
at this point probably the culmination of like 2 years in India.
Hmm.
Like
Yep.
really, like she's very, and to take your
Hmm.
word, very intentional about
Yeah.
it. And we have had some pretty good conversations.
Hmm.
It's something that I would like to make a point of
Hmm.
being a little more regular with. But
Right.
yeah,
That's like anything. That's hard.
but let's
Uh,
pause right there. We'll
yeah.
come back to our
Hmm.
scheduled conversation in a second.
So
Let's do this. Okay,
cool.
back to the conversation.
Back to reality. So, okay. So we had a wonderful time talking to Dana. And like you said, you were kind of gone the next week and everything. At the end of that week, I was as well. So that's why we weren't able to do anything last
Yeah,
week.
I got a photo from you, and at first I was so
Hmm.
busy because you sent it to me while I was doing the whole conference thing.
Right.
I
Yep.
glanced at a picture and I saw you and our friend Sarah,
Hmm.
and I thought you were at a dinosaur exhibit. But you weren't at a dinosaur exhibit. You
You
were
could,
meeting another friend who was not a
it was not a
dinosaur.
dinosaur.
You were
So
seeing old Coley.
old Coley.
You
So
want to, you should tell the story of old Coley.
yeah, so old Coley. So we've talked about him on the podcast before, but so I was going out to state college anyway for a trip, and we're going to talk about that here. But one of the elements that Nick is talking about is Old Coley. So Old Coley is it sounds crazy, but it was like the old mascot of Penn State University.
Right.
This mule was used to carry a lot of like the literal foundational bricks from a nearby quarry to a lot of the buildings in the area
Well,
that were built.
specifically the original main building.
Yes, like the
And a
old Mayor
merry old
founders.
mule was he.
Yes. And they thought the best way to commemorate this mule's work was to put his articulated skeleton in a glass case in like the student union.
I'm glad it was an articulated skeleton because if you've ever come across an unarticulate skeleton,
Just a pile of bones. Because
yeah,
I mean, yeah, a pile of
like
bones
inarticulate people are bad
yes, is
enough,
it is
but
yeah. But it's wild because like Alex, I might actually use that photo as the episode
you should.
cover for
And
today.
so it is written.
It's just nuts because it's a full size. It looks like it's a mule, but looks like a horse skeleton. It's like next to like some art exhibits and stuff. And there's a nice write up for him and everything. And I just like Sarah told me she's like, yeah, it's like out in the open because
Yeah.
she used to take care of the plants in that building and everything. I was like, there's like not like there's no way, but I'm like they wouldn't put something like that out in the open. It is. It couldn't be on better display. So, which is great for the horse, or excuse me, the great
The
for the
mule,
mule.
get it
Um,
straight.
I can imagine someone coming from a long way off, coming to Penn State University and uh, starting their adulthood basically, and walking into the building and seeing that, and just be like, "What the heck did I get myself into? Like, what do they
That's
do?
right.
Like, what do they do here? You know?" So
There's no other skeletons around. Why is
there's
this
the
one special?
yeah,
But yeah, I
but
guess O'Coley was able to retire and he was
mm-hmm,
kept on the grounds and he kind of became an unofficial mascot.
right.
And so when O'Coley passed away, yeah, that's what became of him and he remains there to this day.
Yeah,
So
you can
that's
go
kind of
see him.
cool.
He's right there. He's right there.
I guess his
And
keeper is kind of memorialized as well, although his skeleton is not on display.
is not on display, unfortunately.
No.
Um, they should have done that, but that'd be
That'd be
interesting.
pretty neat. It's
But
actually against the law in many places now to display human remains in that way.
so
Now, the relics,
I have a recent
Catholic
story.
relics, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say
yeah.
when I first went to Mammoth Caves in
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky, I was a young tyke.
Yeah.
Um, they had human skeletons, a couple of
Mm-hmm.
them, and it was people
Right.
that had kind of fallen in and died. And so I went back, maybe as a teenager, early teens. And they said, well, we can't display, so the skeletons aren't there. And I was like, I came all this way.
I can roll this way.
I
I
can't,
just
I just spooky staircase. I don't care for heights. Yeah.
I just like with Mammoth Cave, I can just imagine it being like, oh, here's some skeletons from, indigenous folks who died a long time ago, next to Jerry, who fell in the late 70s, just from,
Yeah. Well, Floyd Collins is probably the most
yeah,
famous
right.
example of that. And
Hmm.
if you are not familiar with the story of Floyd Collins or the song, The Death of Floyd Collins, a
Hmm.
contemporary song that was
Little
oft
newer.
recorded. I think Vernon Delhart had the first recording, but it doesn't matter. Familiarize yourself because it's a
So,
horrifying death.
so, so my parents were down in West Virginia 2 weeks ago, maybe. Um, but they stopped. I mean, I have it written down somewhere, but it's not in my notes yet. They found a museum middle of freaking nowhere, West Virginia, somewhere near Grafton, actually, which we have talked about, of Grafton monster fame. It's like this like little like out of the way local history museum. And generally speaking, this goes to everyone out there if you're not already tuned into this. If you have a chance to go to a local museum somewhere, 9 times out of 10, it's bomb. They're usually great.
PA Lumber Museum is one you
Yeah,
still talk
I
about. Like I
still
thought I was going to be in there an hour, and
Yeah, nope. 3 hours later, and your people are dragging you out. But so they found this museum in the middle of nowhere, went into it because they're smart people, and there was two mummified bodies in there as part of like the display.
all
It's
right.
like this early like embalming technique that people come from like all over the world to this little town to see these two, like they're basically mummies.
Now, is this a modern embalming?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I need to I'm gonna be doing some research on that and talking about it because it's weird. But like they were like, oh yeah, it was so nice. There was this all this good local history. There was two mummies, and I'm like, what? What are you? Yeah, like hold on, back up. Like yeah, they look great, but they didn't look. They were dead. I was
Yeah, it's
just
not like
like,
Lennon here.
right. Anywho, so my little like state college weekend here. So one of the reasons I went out there, not only just to get away, is there's an area that I've been looking forward to exploring for quite some time. And what this area is this is called the Scotia Barrens. I also thought it was just like a cool name because like you hear it like a lot of us are probably familiar with like the Jersey Pine Barrens and the Jersey Devil and everything. And you hear the name Barrens attached to something, it's like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. I just
Right.
always was curious about it. So what this is a little area that is west of State College, Pennsylvania, right in the center of the state. The majority of it is actually now in Game Lands 176. It's actually state land. The place has a long history of like mineral extraction. And one of the reasons for that is it's in kind of a weird little what they call like a microclimate area, where because of where it sits in relation to the ridges and basically the plateau there, or the lowlands, um,
Hmm.
it creates this little microclimate where it can be 30 degrees different versus a few miles either direction.
I just want to point out this is the second time in very short history that you've
Hmm.
used the term microclimate because I
Oh,
remember
really?
we were talking about like Tioga County up in
Oh,
Pennsylvania's
yes.
northern
With
tier because we're talking
the
about
farming.
farming up
Yeah.
there and there's
Hmm.
not a lot of it, but you're like, yeah, but because of the microclimates that
Hmm.
exist, you can get some really
You can. Yeah.
specialized
Yes.
product.
And this is in the same thing with the Scotia Barrens. So, just geologically and ecologically, it's a very interesting little area. So there's been minerals. I mean, there's obviously folks living there from time immemorial, but there's been mineral extraction there for hundreds of years at this point. It's actually called Scotia because it was named for Andrew Carnegie's homeland of Scotland. He actually bought a large area there and extended one of the short lines from Tyrone up to there to do mineral extraction to feed the coke works southwest of it. The place was basically a boom town for the late 1800s. He ended up selling it in 1899. The remaining mines closed in 1910. So kind of bit of a downhill turn. There was a sawmill that ran into the mid 19 teens. Then the federal government bought it, reopened the mines in the 1940s to kind of aid in the effort for World
I
War
was about
II.
to say,
Mhm.
yeah.
But shut down shortly after due to the poor quality of the remaining ore. But there was a lot of activity there in the late 1800s and early 1900s. It was kind of abandoned. So it is when people talk about ghost towns in Pennsylvania, especially, this is one that typically makes the list. Um, because you go there and not only is it technically a ghost town, but because it has this little microclimate, it is just kind of it feels different than the surrounding area because like the area to the west of it is, the Allegheny Mountains. Like you have mountains to the west. And to the east and to the south, you kind of have those central PA farmlands, which are ostensibly an extension of the Piedmont region. Like you could be in the
Right. The
middle of New
Allegheny
Jersey, and
Piedmont.
yeah, you wouldn't know the difference if you were in Jersey at that point, or Virginia, excuse me. But so it's just a weird little area, and as a result, you can imagine there is some lore associated with it. So the reason I want to go check it out is because anytime you hear ghost town, people gather because it's a place to legend trip at. And as we've talked about so often, if a place isn't haunted, if everyone goes there and decides it's haunted, then it might as well be haunted. Um, Plus, it just looked cool, and I wanted to go hiking. So we finally got out there and everything. And when I was doing some research, I expected to find lots of ghost stories, and there are lots of like weird stories. There are some non-BFRO Bigfoot reports in the area. Nothing compared to what's the Fisherman's Paradise to the east we've talked about. We did stop there too, actually, but nothing too crazy, except there's one story about what's called the Black Ghost of Scotia, which is a pretty cool name
Yeah,
for a ghost.
I have actually heard the story
Oh, really?
before.
See,
Yeah.
I don't think I had heard. If I had heard it, I didn't retain it
I think
previously.
this is in one of the collections of the Pennsylvania Fireside Tales. I could be wrong,
That would check out.
but
It
that
sounds
writer is from the region, that
okay.
specific region as well. So
Hmm.
I think he was living in Center Hall, PA,
Okay,
which is
yeah,
right around the corner. So
right, not
I
too
could
far.
be wrong on that score, but I am familiar with this
Okay, so we'll see
because that's
if
where I
you
first
remember
heard of
this.
Davy Lewis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I know you know
Oh,
of
interesting.
Davy
I know that
Lewis,
because of the song. Yeah.
right? We immortalized him in
Hmm.
song. Yeah.
We did. Um, so so the Black Ghost of Scotia, like as you all know, whenever we find new lore, we're always looking into it and trying to figure out like what's actually going on. So the story goes that there was this woman who was a widow of a gentleman who owned a one of the mines in town, and this is in 1910. So this is like as the decline is probably in full swing.
I was going to
Like
say, right,
folks
this
are
is the clearly the very tail end of
yeah,
anything.
right,
People
yeah,
can probably very well see the writing on the wall.
yeah. Andrew Carnegie's been out for 11 years at this point. Not a great time to be in town, but it's still town. Um, Now, the woman's name was, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. Hulda Baldis, Huldabaldis.
Could have been
Hulda,
Olda, because
Olda.
a lot of languages the H is silent.
Okay, we'll go with Olda. That sounds better than having the hard H. But so she was walking home late at night on October 17th, 1910. Walking home late at night didn't sound like that was unusual because even though again, town was in decline, it wasn't known for being a particularly dangerous town or anything. Again, small enough that everyone kind of knows each other, people stay out of each other's way, kind of thing. But she leaves, walks home, and doesn't make it home, and is found murdered the following morning. So we start looking around. One of the first people that was interviewed that had kind of a problem with their alibi was this gentleman named Bert DeLage, um, who said that he was with his family, but apparently his family said whenever they were contacted that he had been drinking the night before and was not accounted for after 10 p.m. Now, he also had a connection to her because her widowed husband had actually fired him from the mine a while back. So possibly a bit of a grudge or a bit of a connection one way or the other. After a few days, he actually went in and did turn himself in and confessed to the murder. Turns out he actually murdered her with a straight razor after assaulting her. Um,
So open and shut.
yeah, it seems pretty open and shut. It seems like he really didn't have a great reason for doing it and just kind of blamed it on being drunk, and being jealous or upset over the back pay that he was apparently owed.
Well, who
Uh,
hasn't drank too much?
but so yeah, pretty open and shut case, like you said, and it was said that he was the last person hung in Center County in Bellefonte on April 25th, 1911.
Wow. So
So
hanged,
hanged,
just like Davy Lewis,
just like David
also in
Lewis, actually.
Belfont.
Yeah, funny how this works.
So
Yeah.
where does the ghost story come
So
in?
apparently he was laid to rest in an unmarked grave. The ghost story is apparently he is seen around the Barrens, kind of like stalking people, and it's just referred to as the Black Ghost of Scotia because people see this like what sounds almost like a shadow person. I thought that they were calling it the Black Ghost because he was African American, and the story was just racist. But I looked it up, and he was the last guy hung, and like this definitely happened. So I assumed people were just being crappy, but apparently that's what happened. But yeah, he's just seen kind of like people see this like shadow walking around the barrens and everything, especially around dusk. There are lots of stories of hunters because, like I said, it is a game lands, so people do hunt there, which is kind of bonkers because like you could not drag a deer out of there. It's a weird area. Like I wouldn't want to hunt there.
Yeah, but I mean,
But
it's small game and everything. I
I
mean,
guess
I
small
know what you
game,
mean.
yeah.
There's a lot of those forests are really dense.
They're dense, yeah, because it's all like pitch pine and stuff.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So yeah, people see dark shadows walking around everything. And again, it is a spooky area. And I want to tell you about the different things that we kind of saw whenever we were hiking around there.
Well,
Um,
it's spooky because again, the density, it's dark. And again, you're talking about you go in a mile and it's dramatically different from everything around
right.
it.
It is. Yeah. So just you feel like you're in a different space. And so it's a little unnerving in that sense. But it is, again, like I said, it is a spooky area. And this is, not even 10 minutes from State College. Like we're from like the campus of Penn State. You don't have to go far to be out in the middle of nowhere in these places. So, like I said, we went up there, we went to hike and everything and look around. I do have video of that. I'm gonna try and edit some of it out, and we'll put it up on the YouTubes. At least the video version, if not the audio, because most of the audio is just me and my friends LOLing over plants and moss and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's a spooky area, and the first thing that happened to me, you'll appreciate this, Nick. So I get out of my truck and I start like putting my hiking boots on and getting my stuff ready. And you know, like everyone else does, that I have way too much gear when I do any of these things.
The whole
Get
rigmarole.
get my life together, and as I'm putting on sunscreen because it was hot that day, putting on sunscreen, I look over and there is a raccoon standing on its back legs, looking in the cab of my truck.
Cool.
And I look at him, I'm like, buddy, what are you doing? And it just kind like that was my reaction. And that's just what I said. And it hopped back down and kind of walked away and it turned around, looked at me. I'm like, get out of here. And it scurries away kind of thing. Didn't look sick. Like I'm not worried about it having rabies or anything, but it was just like weird. It was a weird
Well,
start.
not the right time of day for that guy to be out, that's
Yeah,
for
not the right time
sure.
of day, but he didn't look sick or anything, so I wasn't too stressed about it. But so I'm getting my life together and everything, and these two women get back to their Jeep, And this is like, again, like 30 seconds later. And I just turned to them and said, hey, just be careful. There's a raccoon walking around. And they both were like, oh yeah, they're all over the place here. He was probably in the Jeep. So like, I think they're habituated to people being in the area and like looking for food, and they just see a vehicle and are like, oh, there must be food there.
How many people are coming in though? Because like
Yeah,
raccoons live among people as it
yeah,
is, you
yeah, I
know?
know. Well, that's what they said. So I was like, whatever. But so that was the first like just like weird little thing that happened, and then we started hiking in looking for the ruins, and we go back into the woods and everything. And really, the main ruins that are still visible are actually from the 1940s. Most people say that they're from like the early mines and everything.
Sure.
There's
Because
lots
the
of
older, the spookier.
Right, exactly. There's lots of earthworks that are from the 1800s that are still there because they would build these earthen ramps to load rail cars and stuff.
Yes.
Um, so that's all there. But all of the actual structures that are there are like rebarred concrete. Like it's definitely from like the 40s. That being said, you have these big two-story like uh dilapidated structures just kind of like sitting in the woods, you know? It's pretty spooky looking. Like it doesn't look great. You can understand why people get freaked out by it.
Well, and again, our whole iconography of the
Yeah,
furnace, the old iron furnaces,
right.
which again, a lot of this would have fueled those operations
Absolutely.
early on,
Yep. Hmm.
is because there's a lot of early to mid 19th century iron furnaces in
Hmm.
the woods
Yep.
around and throughout Pennsylvania. And
Right.
when you come across this, especially if you've never seen one, it's quite something to behold.
Oh, for
Now,
sure. Yep.
and as you come into State College, right off College Avenue, East College
We stopped
Avenue,
there. Yep. Yep.
yep, right, not too far from the Happy
Hmm.
Valley Brewery, which
Yep.
you and
We
I have had
stopped.
dinner
Yep. Which
at.
is fantastic.
Wonderful.
Great pretzels.
Absolutely.
Great pretzels. Yeah.
Really, and
So,
they do a really good shrimp and grits with a poached egg on top.
oh, I bet. I
Very
bet.
good. Anyhow,
But anywho,
yeah. So this is kind of the same thing, just 100
mhm.
years more
But yeah,
recent.
but you can understand how people it has the same vibe. The vibe is similar. Um, so the runes and everything there are like covered with spray paint. It was kind of fun, just like seeing those and everything. Um, there was one person who had a game where they had a stencil of like a cool black cat with like demon wings, and it was find all 13 cats. So that was like a fun game that I appreciated, but it's definitely the place gets used. Like it's definitely like a party spot for kids, which is normal for like legend tripping and everything. Wasn't surprised to see that. Um, but again, you can imagine ha people having fires there in the woods at night and everything. It is a weird little place, and you can kind of understand why people get freaked out by it. Um,
100%.
so as we were kind of walking around, because there's tons of trails there. If you look at it on all trails or on a Purple Lizard map or something like that, tons of trails. And we were just kind of like meandering. And we found one area that had pitcher plants in it, which like you don't see very often. So that was just like,
No,
yeah,
one
these
of our
were,
few carnivorous plants.
yes, yeah, these were pink lady slippers, which is pretty sweet. But as we were walking back there, I think we've talked about it before with like Bigfoot, especially. Are you familiar with the idea of the Oz effect? Have we
No.
talked about that? Okay. So the Oz effect is this idea that there's a sudden change in like the physical environment. And it usually is accompanied by silence, where the natural world gets supposedly unnaturally quiet quickly. We were walking and it was very noisy and everything, lots of birds out, lots of wind, and everything because it was windy that day. We hit a certain spot and one of us said, like, did it just get quiet? And we stopped and we spent like a good while standing there just being like, what the hell is going on? Because like you couldn't hear any wind, you couldn't hear any birds, no insects, like nothing, but you could hear the wind in the trees in like the distance, you know, but nothing right there. It was honestly kind of spooky.
Did the topography change? Like, did you all of a sudden find yourself down a holler? There was a windbreak or something?
Well, see, that's what we were kind of thinking is we must have gotten close enough to one of these like ridges that we were in like little like pocket or something where there just wasn't as much resonance, maybe. Because there is a lot of iron and everything in the ground. So like it was just very strange. And we're like, that's weird. Like, noted, like we should pay attention to that, you know. But then as we kept walking, then it eventually kind of like came back and everything. So that's what we were kind of thinking is we wonder if that is, at least in this case, if that Oz effect was like very much like an environmental like bubble that you kind of walked in and out of.
Well, and you've kind of already noted the whole place is kind of already that, an
Hmm.
environmental bubble.
It is. Yeah, it is. So like nothing else necessarily strange happened with that. But the one cool thing that you would appreciate is we get way, way back in the woods and we see what looks like the remains of a vehicle. And we're looking at it and we're like, how the hell did someone get a
Uh-huh.
truck back here?
You have a picture of it?
I do. Yeah, I have
Because
pictures.
I'm really curious, because I can probably,
So
like, did you know what
you're gonna be
year?
so proud of us, Nick. So
Oh, all right.
we were
I do
looking at
appreciate this,
yeah,
by the way.
I
You got me
noticed
right.
yeah, so yeah, I know. I'm like at the time I'm like we need to figure this out because Nick's gonna want to know. Um, so looking at the engine block, I'm like, okay, that's an inline six. Okay,
All
cool.
right.
So I'm like, there's got to be numbers on this somewhere. So we start looking and we find chrome bumpers and we find this blue paint on these like body panels and we find couldn't find any instrument clusters or anything, but we're looking around the engine and Sarah finds like the engine, like it wasn't like a VIN obviously, but it was like the engine model and size. And
Okay.
we looked it up and it is from a 1970 Ford F100. So that's what the truck.
Oh,
But we were shocked that it was only from the 70s because not only did it look much older,
yeah.
but it like we don't know how someone got a truck out there just because of how all the trees are. It's just like how did this happen? Because it had to be later than that, you know, unless someone bought a truck brand new in 1970 and drove it out there, which isn't
Well,
impossible, I guess.
again, the only comparable story, and I
Yeah,
know I've shared it
yeah,
here before. My
mm-hmm,
dad went to undergraduate college in a place south of
yeah,
Penn State,
yeah,
really mountainous region of the Alleghenies, and he was there with a young man who he roomed with a young man who was the heir to the Slinky fortune.
mm-hmm, yep.
And
This
he would buy, so this
Slinky
is mid
Baron,
1970s, the
yeah.
Slinky Nair, yeah. He would buy brand new Cadillacs and off-road them.
I guess that's
Your
true.
childhood Slinky money, that's what it went to
Just thinking,
fund in
so,
part. And then I guess his dad got involved in a cult in South America that is not Jim Jones.
yeah. So what are the dodge a bullet there? I guess,
Yeah. But
but
Slinky, still located in Altoona,
yeah.
Pennsylvania.
So okay, never mind.
So it could have
Uh,
been something like that.
it
You
could,
never
so
know.
yeah, it's possible. But either way, but it was weird that it was from the 70s. I say that to say like if you're out there and you find weird stuff in the woods, like dig around a little bit, like do a little research. Like you like
Sure.
like because that's a wrinkle to the story. You know, it's just like why is there a 1970 Ford F100 here?
And
Like
again,
yeah.
like I don't know what if you're taking stock of how old some of those trees were and whatnot. It probably was a lot more open back then, and
It totally could have been. Yeah, it totally could
you
have been. I
know,
mean, the trees looked older than like 40, 50 years, but like maybe because of how forest succession works, and again, it being a microclimate, the trees could be a whole lot older or younger than what I would have thought, you know.
yeah,
Wouldn't be unreasonable. But yeah, it was really cool. It was really fun to walk around there. We really had a good time. I see why people think the place is spooky for sure.
yeah, because
Um,
you got to walk out with a few small stories.
Right, exactly. And it was just, it was, I mean, and this is why I do think legend tripping, you have to do it safely, obviously, but like it's a great excuse to go to some really cool places, you know, around you, or further away. But like this is a place I've been wanting to get to for years and just finally was able to kind of get around to. But so then afterwards, because you mentioned that furnace, we did stop by the Center County Historical Building is right next to that furnace off of College Ave. It was
And a
closed.
beautiful old house.
Yeah, we wanted to go in it, but it was closed that day, which is that happens. Place is
I
definitely
feel like it's never open.
yeah, that place is definitely haunted too. Like me and Sarah, like we walked up to the house, both stopped, looked up, and we're just like someone's up there. Someone's up there looking at us right now, kind of thing. But it's a beautiful, the grounds are beautiful and everything. There's a nice garden. There's a huge old oak tree. The place is definitely haunted. We're going to be doing some research onto that. And there's another place that we found up in Bellefonte that we'll probably talk about in correlation with that.
Was it the Match Factory?
No, it's the Hastings Mansion is the one that we
Oh,
found.
okay, okay,
What's
okay.
what's what's the Match Factory?
Well, I'll tell you off record.
Okay.
So let's pause there
Yeah. Okay.
because I have one more thing I want to talk about
Okay,
before the end of
cool.
the night.
Cool.
So the Match Factory is if you are ever have you been to the park in town?
Which one?
The
The
park in Belfont.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, in Bellefonte. Sure. I thought
That
you meant State
amazing brick
College.
building in the back?
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
the old Match Factory.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I know what you're talking
The
about. Yeah.
antique stores
Yeah.
are the old movie theaters, both of them. One
Mm-hmm.
movie theater's from 1912,
Okay.
and right next door is the movie theater from the 1930s or 40s.
Okay. Cool.
And if you make friends with the people at the antique store, you can go all through because you walk through the antique store, it's a little disorienting
Mm-hmm.
because you're on a slope. And you're like, I was like,
Oh,
why? What was this?
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's. That makes sense
So,
because it was a theater.
all right,
Funny.
I'll come back. I guess we
Yeah.
can leave that in. There's no reason not to. Um, but coming back,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, good times. We'll definitely have to talk about the Hastings Mansion. I'm
Yeah.
curious.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent a good bit of time in Bellefonte for work, and of course, while you're at that park, there are some amazing trout that just live in the creek that runs
They
right
just
through the
yeah.
park.
It's
This
just
is a
lousy with them.
beautiful little park.
Yeah. It is.
It really is. So the match factories are kind of horrifying things because in the 19th century, you would get things like phosphemouth.
Right. Yeah.
And are
Which
you
is
aware of phosphemouth?
no, but I don't like this. I don't like the name of it.
It would eat away the skin
Ugh.
around your, so you just have like a hole here, a
Ugh.
giant fistula.
Ugh. God. That's
Yeah,
gross. That's gross. I don't
look
like
up
that at all.
images.
Mm.
So I wanted to bring up one thing because I think it's something you'd be into.
Okay.
The last time we've been sitting around and been like, oh, let's go to the movies, there's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
nothing worth seeing. So we don't.
Yeah.
Movie theaters, in at least in our area, have done the right thing. The costs are pretty nice now,
Mm-hmm.
but the
Yeah. I agree.
reclining seats and
Mm-hmm.
everything, that
Yeah.
was the right
That was the
decision.
right
Good job.
choice. Yeah.
It was. It was. It's so nice to go to the movies,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it's hot like this. Goodness,
Right.
why didn't we go now? Well, the nice thing is there were like three movies that looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And we opted for one that is not the Spielberg one. We opted for the Backrooms.
Oh, did you? We watched it. Okay.
You've
Yeah.
seen the
I haven't seen
Backrooms?
it. So what's
Well,
your
I'll tell
thought?
you this. First off, was we're watching it. I'm telling him like, oh, this is, the kind of the weird liminal space things. I
Mm-hmm.
told her
Right.
again about the weird place that I'd found at the old Shenango Valley Mall that was
Mm-hmm.
recently torn down.
Yeah.
The funny thing was how popular that became not
Mm-hmm.
too long after I found it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, plenty of other people knew about it, but that was
Mm-hmm.
up in Sharon,
Right.
Pennsylvania.
Right.
Anyhow, so I kind of we watched some things on the lore of the back rooms, and I basically had to explain. So basically, and I was reminded of our conversation with Dr. White,
Mm-hmm.
where
Yep.
he was like, the internet actually is a wonderful place for folklore. Because I said,
Right.
this whole back rooms thing is not unlike Slender Man
Right.
in the sense that it is kind of internet folklore, and some people enjoy it for that.
Mm-hmm.
Other people earnestly believe in it.
Right.
And I thought this did a really interesting job on a few scores.
Okay.
One,
Yeah.
the movie was unsettling.
Okay. Good.
I thought the set design team had to have a fun time. It looked so fun to make.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
It was
Yeah.
second to, well, I think it has supplanted Eraserhead for me. Eraserhead,
Really?
in the sense that
Wow. Okay.
Eraserhead always felt like the most dream-like
Mm-hmm.
movie.
Yeah.
This, the actual area of the Backlands,
Mm-hmm.
or Backrooms
Back
rather,
rooms? Yeah.
felt extremely dreamlike
Like
to
very
me.
okay.
It felt the way most dreams do. It looked the
Mm-hmm.
way dreams do, where everything's slightly, it's familiar, but
Mm-hmm.
slightly off kilter.
Right.
There was a giant, my very first nightmare was
Mm-hmm.
about a giant coming down a long hallway chasing me. I was in kindergarten at St. Aloysius at that
Nice.
time. And I still remember that dream because that dream is a reason why I remember the layout of the room.
Hmm.
And I thought it was really good. And it also went kind of a ways to explain what back rooms are
Right.
in a way that was, it didn't answer a lot of questions. I thought that
Hmm.
was good.
Yeah.
It's the area is being monitored, but it doesn't really fully explain why,
Hmm.
other than the curiosity. The other thing that it did really well is I felt that it really did capture this period of time. So it takes
Hmm.
place around I think it's June of 1990 or
Okay.
1991.
Yeah.
I don't want to say
Okay.
maybe 1990.
Hmm.
I thought it did a really good job of capturing that time in a way that just wasn't overwhelming nostalgia baiting.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't. Yeah. I know what you mean. It was.
Yeah,
It
so
felt historical in that sense.
well, but
Yeah.
it felt like it wasn't novelty. It
That's
wasn't
what I mean.
describing
Yeah.
a
It's.
time for a time. I think part of the reason why they wanted to set it in that period of time
Hmm.
was for not to have phones and to
Right.
have VHS
Hmm.
and audio
Stuff like that.
recording like
Yeah.
that. So at the end of the day, I thought the film was unsettling.
Hmm.
I thought it did a good respect. If we were looking at backrooms as folklore, as
Hmm.
modern folklore,
Right.
I thought it did a pretty good job of kind of canonizing that.
Hmm.
Well, I think
That's
it'll go a
important.
way to canonize
Yeah.
what backrooms are, because in 20 years that
I was
film
just
might
about to
be,
say.
yeah,
Yeah.
will be looked upon.
Yeah.
But I think, and I could be wrong, I think the concept of backrooms only goes back maybe 10 years.
Yeah. I don't think because I don't think the Reddit is can't be much older than that. You know, and
It's
that's
definitely an offshoot of like the whole concept of liminal spaces.
oh yeah, well the idea of quote unquote back rooms has been around for a long time. But as far as like the subreddit that led to like the creepy element of it, I think, is probably yeah, probably can't be more than 10 years old. I think
And it
you're
was
absolutely right.
actually for me
Hmm.
remembering to bring up this movie because it was a while ago that we saw it. It was
Hmm.
like it was last week again that
Hmm.
we saw it. I was reminded when you said this Oz effect because
Yes.
what's different from the backrooms than say liminal spaces is
Hmm.
that people say there's like a glitch or a slip in
Right.
reality, blah blah blah
Well, and
blah.
that's the thing. We've all been in places like that where you like again, not having not seen the movie yet. I can think of times where I've been places where you're just doing whatever you're doing as part of your normal everyday life, where like you realize you're in a space that just feels off. And
Well, you just had that
yeah,
experience. You just
exactly.
talked
Where it's
about
just,
that.
and it's weird how having that happen in like a manufactured like office building kind of thing. You know,
Yes.
there's a local artist who uses the handle liminal berg. It's liminal berg or liminal Pittsburgh capturing these kind of things
Seen some
around
wonderful photos.
the whoever yeah, I say guy, it could be a woman, it could be someone else, but really great at
Yeah.
capturing those. It's really beautiful from like an aesthetic standpoint. That's like I think the fun part about stuff like this with folklore is like it leads to art too. You
Yeah.
know, and like there's so many, and it leads to these films and everything, and photography and all kinds of stuff. And it's one more point of inspection for our human condition, you know?
The other nice thing is that you can eat the people that are in the back rooms. I thought that was nice. They looked like they were made out of cotton candy, and I don't know if
Ugh, I don't know
that's
if I like
part of a
that.
well-balanced meal, but yeah, you
Cotton
can
candy
eat the
grosses me
people.
out.
So if you find
Yeah.
yourself, yeah, there's a whole lot of lore. I'm not super deep on it.
Yeah,
I
I still
think
need to
it's an
see it.
interesting concept. I thought the movie was great.
Yeah.
Great might be a strong word, but you know what? I'll give it to it because, like
If
I
you put it
said,
up there with Eraserhead for that
I
kind of
put it up there
getting
for Racerhead only
yeah,
for being
dreamlike.
so
Yeah.
dreamlike.
Yeah, but
It, yeah,
that's still high
that's
praise
an
in my
achievement.
yeah, that's a huge milestone. Um, but we are going to have to do you mentioned the Spielberg film. We are going to have to watch Disclosure Day and talk about that at some
Does it
point.
not feel like this is Spielberg going? back? Like, is
That's what it,
Spielberg beating the same drum over
yeah, I
again?
have a
Close
VHS
Encounters of the
I
Third
have a
Kind.
Close Encounters VHS sitting right at the table over there.
You sure
Um,
do.
it's yeah, that's what I assume. I'm going to try and go in with a open mind, but after our previous disclosure location or conversation, I'm just
Hmm.
not feeling great about it. But I still want to watch the movie and try and give it a fair shake.
Why are you
So
not feeling great about it again?
just because the last like quote unquote disclosure dump
Oh,
from
yes, yes,
the
yes. I'm
federal
sorry.
government
I'm
was
sorry.
just so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dumb.
Let's not, we don't need to reignite the passions here.
I know. Start
I
flipping
will say
tables.
one of the reasons why, because it was a toss up. Are we going to go to that?
Yeah,
Or are we going to go to Backrooms? I was more intrigued by Backrooms, even though I knew it
agreed.
wasn't going to be super action,
Hmm.
because that whole glottal stop thing.
I know, right?
Oh, that is an
Yeah,
unsettling sound. I don't
yeah.
like that.
I don't
So I
like
was like, I don't know, if we got freaking aliens possessing people doing glottal stops
it.
all day and into the night. I'm like,
No, thank
I
you.
can't eat popcorn to that. It's
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go to sleep later. Not gonna happen.
Ugh, ugh.
Yeah.
I don't even like it when I do it.
Oh my gosh. Well, so if you have a sound that you don't like hearing anyone do, let alone yourself,
Yeah.
we'd love to hear about it.
Or if you have interpretations from that whole reading that you'd like to share,
Yes. Oh my God.
I would
That's a great.
welcome that as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, Nick. If there,
What does the blank card mean?
yeah, if you have an
If
idea
you
of
have
what,
a strong opinion about what the blank card means I should do with my life, how would they let me know?
yeah, right. They can find us on YouTube or Instagram at the Ghost Furnace Podcast, or you can send us an email at the Ghost Furnace Podcast at gmail.com.